Mature content.
Listener discretion is advised.
Peace and blessings, fellow journeying tarot nerds. Welcome and thanks for tuning in to the TV and Tarot Talk podcast, where we chill, chat, and tarot. I am your host, Naya Thryce.
And I'm Meg Watson.
The aim of this podcast is to explore tarot in a chill, casual, and fun way through the lens of TV and pop culture. TV and Tarot Talk podcast is meant to be a safe place to explore concepts, as stories and shows can serve as a shared experience to build an understanding from. For this set of The Walking Dead episodes, we will only be covering the 22 major arcana cards and a few bonus episodes sprinkled in before deep diving into another TV series. This is a rewatch spanning the whole of the AMC's The Walking Dead universe, so beware because spoilers are ahead.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Warning.
Spoiler. And now for your hosts.
Oh, hang on. My cat's trying to get out of the bedroom.
And this is episode 8. In today's episode, we will be exploring the Strength card. We totally got your cat meowing.
Oh, thank God.
Just now, I just let it ride and I said, and this is episode 8. That couldn't have worked out. We couldn't have planned that at all.
No. Asa, you're a rock star.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Meg.
Hi, Naya.
And hello, listeners. Oh my goodness. We really couldn't have planned that. That was just too perfect.
Everybody and my cat, Asa.
Right? He's adorable. And my cats, I have truly kept them out of the room because they can be mouthy, but they're being lazy today. So, all right. So, what decks are you currently working with?
Well, for my dailies, I'm working with the Tabula Mundi Mini, one of my favorite decks. And then I've just been kind of going through some of my decks. I'm weeding stuff out right now, so not necessarily using them, but, flipping through a few.
Yeah. I am currently using the Robledo Dodal for my dailies. And
That's a beautiful deck.
oh my God, the card stock and the size of it. It's just like the perfect specimen for me. I'm a little bit obsessed. It always
I like a good tactile feel to a deck. Like if it doesn't have that card stock, I'm not super likely to reach for it.
Yeah. So that's what I've been using. And then in terms of like reading, like other kinds of readings, I've been using This Might Hurt.
Oh, how are you liking that one?
I like it. It's really easy to read. The images are very clear. It's colorful without, how can I explain this? It's easy. It's just easy to read with. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. It checks all the boxes for me. When it really comes down to it. It's a RWA, Rider Waite Smith based deck. And there's nothing to that goes too far off course for it to be like difficult to have to learn how to read with it on a visual level. So yeah, really enjoyed my experiences with that one. And that one I'm just starting to, get on with, like in terms of usage, and I like it a lot. I don't know, what decks are you looking forward to using, like maybe next month, or just like in general, like your next deep dive with a deck?
I haven't picked one yet. I did recently get the Mythic Tarot, which I'm very excited to play with because I love Liz Green.
Yeah.
And I love my Greek mythology. So that one is, I think that's going to be more of a study deck than a use deck.
Yeah, I can see that. I had that one a long time ago, but I opted to pay it forward. Like, I read the book and everything. But yeah, it was like that. It was like a little bit of a study deck for me, but I was like, I'm not really going to use it. Is there somebody out there that's going to use it? This was a while back, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little pre-Emily banter for you guys. Just see what we got going on in our tarot situation. Don't really have any crazy housekeeping items. Just, just share the love. Let people know if you really enjoy the podcast, because eventually what'll happen is we'll have more shows that we've discussed, and then you can lure your non-tarot friends to become tarot friends through this podcast. So share the love.
That's our secret aim. That's what we're really after.
That's the truth. We're trying to make converse out of everybody.
We are a gateway podcast.
That's right. That's right. Subscribe. Give us some feedback. 5 stars on the Apple iTunes thing. That would be great if you could do that. And then we have a send voicemail button on tarotnerds.com where you can send up to a 90-second voice message. And you don't have to download anything. No special equipment is needed. But if you want to participate in the discussion for an episode, just let us know what you're.
And you can do that anonymously, right?
They can.
Or do you have to put it in an email? Okay.
Oh, well, when you hit the button, it'll say record, or it'll ask you to put your name and your email address. You don't have to put your email address, but you could just put like a first name or something. That way we know who we're referencing, at least. And then, and then we can, plug it into the episode. So maybe start having some listener feedback episodes. That would be really fun to do. What was that?
You had your moment.
Oh, I'm dead. He is performing right now. Okay. Keywords for the Strengths card. Meg?
Okay, keywords. We have courage, compassion, instinct and control, endurance, focus, inner strength, bravery, leading with love, patience, conscious understanding, and taming of unconscious material, vitality and lust, confrontation with feelings and desires, self-compassion and inner vision, ego strength, fortitude, perseverance, integration of animalistic energies, overcoming old fears and conditionings, vital strength, moral force, self-confidence, self-discipline, and instinct. I think I said instinct twice, but I really like that one.
Yeah, me too. In reverse, you have self-doubt, audacity, weakness, fearfulness, timidity, and cowardice. As a person, veterinarian, manager, trainer, coach, survivor, wrangler, animal trainer, animal wrangler, heroes, athletes, weightlifters, gymnasts, arbitrators, and Zen masters. The astrological zodiac sign of Leo is attributed, and the element is fire. Also, with the keywords, well, it's more like a theme that I've used before in terms of Leo as a zodiac sign, right? So you have so if you think about like house cats, you have I think it's an easy reference.
Oh, for sure.
You have like your very extroverted cats, very like you said, self-confident, owning the space and, pushing their will on their owners, feed me now, clean my litter, pet my belly, like tell me what to do. And then you have the other kind of house cat that's very timid and like a scaredy cat kind of, they jump at everything and, they're so like just to paint like a mental picture of like kind of a way of possibly remembering kind of outward attribute or the upright attributes and then the reverse attributes. Yeah.
And also you have the cats that are more extroverted when it's just you and then get a little shyer when there are strangers around. So it's that kind of instinctual need to feel it out with this individual person, one-on-one basis kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that fits really well.
Yeah. All right. Now we can connect it to the show. You may begin.
Well, I think the most obvious right off the bat is going to be Ezekiel.
And Shiva!
And Shiva! The first scene that we see Ezekiel, he's sitting on the throne with Shiva next to him, and it's clearly evocative of the strength card.
Heck yeah. I mean, it's just, you can't.
The visual is just boom.
Yeah, you can't not see it at all. There's no way. If you are any kind of interested in tarot and you're a beginner, you see Ezekiel and Shiva and you're like, strength card.
And then it just plays out perfectly, like the entire story of how he saves Shiva, how Shiva saves him, how they work together, and just the entire relationship between this man and this animal.
Yeah.
Goddamn hunger!
We also have, the fact that it's, the Leo card. There is not a more Leo character than Ezekiel. That man is like Morgan says, he does his own thing. He's got the pageantry, the love of theater.
That's the creative aspect for sure. And he has a passion for it. And when he speaks, you can feel what he's getting.
The pageantry.
Yeah, you can feel what he's getting at.
And very much leading with compassion.
Yes.
Like, this is not a my way or the highway. This is a what's right for the people.
It's a gentle conviction.
Yeah.
It comes from a very loving place, for sure. He's very reluctant to get into the war because he didn't want to put his people.
He originally bonds with Morgan over Morgan's pacifism. That it's like, the strength that it takes to not fight really impresses him. And he kind of leans on Morgan for that. Like, this is a struggle that I'm going through because I would very much like to fight, but you make good points, and I have so much respect for the strength that it's taken you to get to this place where you can say, no, I'm not going to fight.
Right. Or I'm not going to kill or whatever. Yeah. Because all life is precious. And I truly believe that that's been Ezekiel's code without it being a mantra necessarily.
Yeah.
Because Morgan had to
it's instinctual.
Learn this.
You need the words for it.
Right. Which is funny because just saying Ezekiel is a strength card, I want to try to put it into words, but it's just an instinct. Like, you see him, you can't not instinctually feel that he is representative of that card.
Yeah.
There's like...
And like asking Morgan to teach Ben how to use the staff because he understands that he needs to play to his people's strengths, that they need to play to their strengths, that it's about finding what's right for them on an individual instinctual basis.
Yeah, and what's even, best for his community too, because he kind of lucks out with the savior that's assigned to pick up provisions from
Gavin,
the kingdom.
yeah.
Gavin
By far the chillest of the saviors.
Yeah, he doesn't, even when he has to do something, he's like, man, there's freaking kids here.
Yeah.
Right, we're at the point where the saviors escape the compound, and Gavin and his set of saviors goes to the kingdom to capture Ezekiel or whatever it is. And Gavin is like doing the speech, and he really doesn't want to. Like, he has some form of compassion for human life. Like, he's not as callous as Simon is about it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, he's kind of like, look.
But he also doesn't have
This is-
the moral strength on his own to oppose it. He's like, this is just how it is.
Right. He's like, just help me, help me. Like,
Yeah.
and, you know, and everything will be fine, essentially. And, but yeah, he looks up because it keeps the kingdom very bustling, very, flourishing in terms of their production and what they have, and their sense of safety.
Yeah.
The compassion between Gavin and Ezekiel did a lot for the town of the kingdom, where they didn't have to know any of that other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's like back to the house cat thing, where, you know, you deal with the world, you come home, you feed them, you love them, and you take care of them, and they're content, you know, and that. And that's a choice that Ezekiel made to handle it that way, and Gavin just had the temperament for it to play out that way.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that. So, I think did we say ego at all for?
Oh, yeah.
The strength card? Because I was just thinking about, because again, originally Ezekiel didn't want his people in the war. Then he goes into the war and he loses all his people.
Yeah.
And he has a really huge, I don't think it was just, he's not like an egocentric person, but his ego took a big blow when all his people died. And also Shiva.
Yeah. And it's not in terms of ego as like pride. It's ego like your understanding of yourself. Like he does not know who he is when he loses Shiva.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's like the last little bit of it too. Well, it's a big deal for him, but in the sequence of events, that was like the straw on the camel's back with Shiva.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, I'm just some guy. I'm not your majesty.
Oh,
you know?
And then Jerry, as they're fighting the walkers together, and it's just the two of them, and Jerry says, "Get behind me," and Ezekiel's like, "No, we fight together. That this is like teamwork," and that's who he is. He doesn't realize that he still knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Everybody else still knows, especially Jerry.
Oh man, I always feel real bad for Ezekiel during that. You know, he just takes a whole hit, and that's hard.
Well, and we've talked about it before that you totally buy that CGI tiger is real. Like the pain that he displays when Shiva dies is heartbreaking.
Yeah, the performance is fantastic.
Yeah, Kari Payton is very talented. We also have the well. Drink from the well, replenish the well, which is sort of a more benevolent system of what was in theory going on at Grady Memorial. They had that same kind of like, you have to earn your way or like pay back what you take kind of thing. But for Ezekiel, that's more of an ebb and flow and not a strict calculation like it was with Grady.
Yeah. I think Ezekiel too bounces back well because he rebuilds the kingdom, you know? Him, Jerry Carroll, I mean, I think he shifts the verbiage from having people call him, I mean, Jerry's always going to call him that, but everybody else, I think, just calls him, King Ezekiel, but not Your Majesty anymore. He's like, no, just call me Ezekiel, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he overcomes the fear of losing his people or asking them to fight for what's theirs. I think his hesitation to get into the war and then losing those people.
It takes them a while to accept that, it wasn't like you gave an order and they followed it. You gave them options and they made choices.
But he did a really good job at also giving them courage.
Absolutely.
Right? And
that man can give
like,
a pep talk.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He can he's always speechifying and things, and he always makes people feel like they can do anything. And that's one of his strengths as a character. He's really good at public relations.
And helping people find the strength within themselves.
Absolutely.
There's his whole relationship with Carol where she is an untamable creature. Like you cannot cage Carol. That's nope. And he doesn't try, but they build this relationship on mutual respect and him, genuinely seeing her, the whole don't bullshit a bullshitter thing. He knows exactly who Carol is and really opens up to her more than anybody else. He takes the mask off.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about this like this, but Ezekiel loses Shiva, and then Carol kind of becomes like his cat. And I don't mean it to be like we're just like in a metaphoric way. Like you said, she can't be tamed. She needs to go when she needs to go and come back when she needs to come back.
But being with him is her choice. And
it's her choice. Yeah. She chooses him as opposed, even though he chooses her too. You know what I mean? But. And she feels safe around him. Yeah. Because she lets her hair grow.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of like a cat, giving you their belly to scratch.
Yeah.
They don't do that for people that they don't trust, or a situation they don't trust.
Oh, and the scene with Daryl and Shiva when he's like, well, a guy with a tiger can't be all bad. And
I love it because Shiva lets him hang out right there in the cage.
Because she senses that, on an instinctual level, because she's a tiger, Daryl can be trusted.
Yeah.
And Daryl sort of realizes that he can trust Ezekiel because this tiger does. It's a very interesting scene.
Yeah, yeah. It's true when there's an animal involved with two people, depending on how the animal acts with that person, it is almost like an allowance to let yourself go, okay, I did feel this way, but if the animal feels this way, then all right, cool. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, it's like everybody loves that feeling when somebody's cat comes up and rubs on them and the person is like, they never do that. They hate everybody.
Yep. Yeah, that's the truth. My cats are like that, and my brother-in-law moved down here a few years ago, and so he came over to hang out one day, and I was like, oh, the cats. And nope, they laid next to him. I was like, what is this? I was like, okay, I mean, I'm not mad about it, but I just thought it was gonna go a different whole kind of way, because they don't like
that instinctual thing that you have no idea until it's actually happening. When Carol says, when she's trying to leave, and he's like, "What about this and this?" and giving her the whole backstory and everything, and she says, "Why do you care?" and Ezekiel says, "Because it makes me feel good." That just felt very strength card to me, of why do you do the things that you do? Because it's fulfilling to me. Yeah. It gives me a sense of purpose and joy.
Yeah. And that world that they live in, you need people to live for that, for joy.
Yeah.
And happiness, as opposed to just surviving somehow.
Yeah. And he always has that. I mean, and yet I smile.
Yeah, I mean, I could just riff about Ezekiel and not even tie it to the card.
He's one of my absolute favorite characters.
Mine too. It's exactly that. He brings me joy.
Yeah. And like we said, it's like that instinctual level. It's like you don't automatically get Ezekiel equals strength card.
He's a spark of sunshine that everybody needs in their life. Like if you don't have an Ezekiel type person in your life, go find you one.
Yeah.
Yeah, make you smile, make you laugh, entertain you. And genuinely show compassion and love and all that kinds of things. We all need that.
And give you that pep talk when you need it.
Oh, those are the best.
To know that somebody's like in your corner.
Yeah. And not yes man you to death either. It's like legit real heart to heart conversation, pep talk, Like if you're messing up or something, they tell you in a very compassionate way that helps you to see it in a different way so that you could like move. God, I love those kinds of talks. Those are so great.
You ever fought before?
You've seen me fight.
Before this?
The dead. A marauder in the woods once.
You fought him?
Yes. Me, then Sheba. I have trained for a very long time. But I've continued from long before this till now. And I've practiced for days on end. I am ready to become what I must.
To become?
Yes. To will myself into what I must be. I was a zookeeper. I was meek. Those weekend matinees, those nights. And then at work, a 500-pound tiger needed my help. And as she bled, I did not just leap into her enclosure. I was not seized by any deep-seated instinct. They were only a few seconds that passed. But I deliberated. I thought about doing it, weighing the risk of approaching such a beast. And I thought about not doing it. I stood there considering who I'd be in either iteration. And I decided I wanted to be the one who leapt. So many years later, Benjamin was the one who told me what I already knew but couldn't hear. If you're asked to be the hero, be the hero. I'm not ready. Finally. I've deliberated. I've made the decision on who I will be. Was it easier for you? Or have you always been this way? This strong, this brave? Or did you decide to be who you are today?
I decided. Just like you. But life decided some things too.
It does. It will.
Consciously deciding who you want to be and harnessing your instinct and your emotion and your thought and owning it, being comfortable enough with all aspects to embrace the whole.
Yeah. Deciding to be a hero, I think that's a good segue into maybe some of the other characters, because strength card for me, all these characters are survivors, the ones
for sure.
that ultimately, even if they've passed away along the lines. At some point or another, you know, they were survivors. They were somebody's hero. Mm-hmm. And I think there can sometimes be this idea that a hero has to, the word hero carries this grandiose connotation behind it. But heroes can be unsung heroes.
They can be unwilling heroes.
They can be unwilling heroes. And the choice to be a hero can come in small acts of courage. Mm-hmm. For example, when Gabriel makes when he figures out the bullets, he's trying to jack up the bullets when they're basically everybody's out of bullets. They're trying to get Eugene to make bullets. Gabriel's there. Gabriel knows that these bullets are going to be used against Rick and everybody. So he tries to sabotage creating the bullet. And with him making that small act, it gives Eugene the idea that he can make this one little change while appearing to follow the guidelines. It took that little act of courage. And that was the hero moment when all those guns backfired on those saviors. Yeah. You know what I mean? And in that case, we have Gabriel as an unsung hero and an unwilling participant to be the enemy. And Eugene choosing a side. Yeah. Making that commitment. And because he was on the inside, he was able to play for the, Team Rick and really save the day.
And because he hadn't really made the decision to do it up until that point, he had the trust because he didn't have any ill intent until then.
Yeah, he never had any ill intent, but I think he didn't even have the idea. Like, he's just, like you said, let other people drive his trajectory up until that small little moment. And then it was just like, I remember screaming at the TV when all those guns backfired and everyone was like, because he's so annoying up until that point, truth be told.
Yeah, you get so angry with Eugene so many times.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. So there's a couple of hero moments for those two characters,
I was going to jump into, from that, Jesus, who doesn't recognize his own strength and ability to be a leader. And other people are like, we all see this. We would like you to be in charge. And he kind of reluctantly takes some responsibility, but it also is like, it's not for me, because he knows himself well enough to know that that's not what he wants. That he can do better helping Maggie be in charge.
Yeah, definitely. And even when he decides to take the prisoners of war. Yeah. Because that ultimately fell on Jesus. He made that choice. Yeah. He changed it up slightly because it helps Maggie. It's just exactly what you said. It helps Maggie in that moment. It's not helpful for the particular events that are taking place. But as a person, it helps her to remind herself and remember that what are we actually fighting for here? Yeah. Because Alden ultimately becomes a really important person for the Hilltop. Yeah. After things are said and done. And not for a hot minute, I thought they were going to get together. When I first watched the show, I was like, is Maggie and Alden going to get together? But yeah, I mean, I think that was a small hero moment. Jesus to Maggie, kind of thing. I was just going to broad stroke it and just say, I mean, there's so many little freaking moments where somebody saves somebody's ass. And anytime somebody saves somebody's ass, that to me is a hero moment. Yeah. Or
even putting them back on a different path. You know, when they start heading off in the wrong direction, leaning a little too hard into the instinct without the thinking things through and the sort of, you know, taming yourself. We have a lot of characters helping to bring people back to their moral center, you know, like Daryl and Merle. Because Merle does kind of come around towards the end, like right before he dies.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Daryl breaks my heart when he finds Merle as a walker. I was choking up.
Yep.
I was like,
just
oh,
as you
God.
were starting to get your shit together, seriously.
I'm weak. I'm crying. Oh, man. Michonne shows a lot of self-discipline.
Yeah.
I was trying to think like of an example. The more recent one that came up was when she wanted to see for herself that the Savior compound was the sanctuary was surrounded by the zombies or I keep calling them zombies. They're not zombies in The Walking Dead, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm making myself annoyed, so I apologize. She wanted to see for herself, and then they go, and she's still weak from the previous, you know, battle that she was in. Rosita goes with her, and then she chooses to not go forward with.
Yeah, I mean, she's sitting in the passenger seat next to Daryl when she finally makes the decision. Like, she's ready to go before she's like, I can't do it. And Daryl's like, then you shouldn't.
And she said it too. Actually, that might be a good quote to stick in here because she says, we're always doing something. We did do something. This is the plan. We just need to trust.
Yeah.
Which is an instinctual, it's an instinctual thing, but when there's a waiting period, the instinct can feel faulty and it feels like something else needs to be done. But she's trusting that situation without any tampering will work out.
And that comes from experience because Rosita does the same thing where she's like, I had to make the wrong choice and do the knee-jerk reaction thing in order to learn not to do the knee-jerk reaction thing. And maybe that's what you guys need is to just do the thing to figure out why you shouldn't have done the thing.
Yeah. I know we talked about, I feel like we keep bringing up Gabriel a lot too.
Yeah.
His early on character is kind of like the scaredy cat.
Yeah.
You know, the scaredy cat aspect. The coward kind of thing.
Yeah, you can just picture him like hissing at everybody.
Yeah. Or, just hiding, finding a corner to hide in, you know what I mean? More like jumpy and unsure and...
he's very judgy at the beginning of it. And it takes, seeing things before he's kind of like... Judgy.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He has this idea of, where he stands morally. And then he has to really... Wait, that's not actually how I have behaved. I should probably take a look at my own choices before I go judging other people's, which is pretty funny coming from a priest.
Yeah. But then there's this really great line that he has about finding the strength or will to save themselves when the walkers, when the tower falls and we have that really major big herd scene and everybody has to literally fight off all the walkers. So he comes around, which is great.
Gabriel, what are you doing?
We've been praying together, praying that God will save our town. Our prayers have been answered. God will save Alexandria. Because God has given us the courage to save it ourselves.
And coming around, it also involves, him figuring himself out. It's not just the outer stuff. It's like dealing with his own shit, really, taming himself.
Yeah, I think when we were referencing him having like this escapism tendency early on, I think that moment when he said we've been praying and praying and praying and we found the will and courage to do what we're asking for ourselves, I think that's when he hits his stride in understanding what he needs to do instinctually and what his role is going to be as part of the community, as part of the team. And I think that's the moment when he comes into his own, because then we get Scary Gabriel later on where he is just ruthless, like whoa. You know what I mean? I mean, it takes a little bit of a while for him to get to that point, but he does reach that scary peak. Like Rick gets there at some point.
Yeah.
A couple of different characters get to that really scary point for a second, and you're like, oh, and
Morgan does that a couple of times.
Yeah, definitely. If we continue with the cowardice theme for like a reverse strength kind of thing,
Gregory.
We have okay, I was gonna say Nicholas just real fast because
for sure.
Well, he is just like the worst kind of coward.
Yeah, because he doesn't realize that he's a coward. Like he thinks that he's strong and prepared, and it isn't ready to accept that. No, you are terrified.
Yeah, and Glenn calls him on that. He puts the mirror up to him, and he doesn't like it, and therefore he tries to kill Glenn.
Yeah,
which I would think is kind of like that ego response, like an egocentric response, for sure. But now Gregory, we can continue. We can talk about him for a hot minute.
He doesn't even make a real leadership decision because he doesn't have control of himself. If you can't control yourself, you can't possibly run anything.
He doesn't even know how to kill a walker.
I know, but he tells people that he did.
Yeah, he did for a long time.
And then
Maggie's out there.
Yeah, Maggie spills the beans.
Well, and it's not even that, because you're watching that scene. She's pregnant. She's out there trying to plant a tree. She says, watch my back for any walkers.
Yeah.
Right? He's looking, they're giving it to us. He's looking at her like he's going to try to kill her.
Yeah.
The walker comes. He can't even kill the walker.
Yeah.
And then you get the full picture of Gregory's character, and then it was so funny because those people were walking by and she's like, it's his first time, he's learning.
And they're like, that's not what he told us.
Right. And meanwhile, he's been leading these people for who knows how many years.
Well, and they make a comment about like that's the first time that he's been outside the walls. Right. Yeah. Like you've let other people protect you rather than taking care of yourself. And then trying to be a leader in a group of people that like are clearly more experienced than you are. Mm-hmm. And we have his whole when Spencer's like, hey, or I'm sorry, what's his name? Negan's right-hand man. Simon. There we go. When Simon is like there, and just the way that he cowers to Simon, like immediately, like, you have more strength than I do. I am weak and will listen to you. I will follow whatever you tell me to do. And like going off running to the sanctuary because, well, Maggie's going to be in charge now and it's not fair. Yeah. Oh, fucking Gregory.
Oh, man.
I love Xander Berkeley so much. Like, he just does such a phenomenal job with that character.
Yeah, he does. He's like floundering all over the place. We didn't bring him up, I don't think, in the chariot card, but he also does that playing the both sides to his, Oh my God. It's comparable to Eugene.
Yeah.
Because he's dealing with the Saviors and then he's dealing with Rick's team and they're all very kind of forceful. But yeah, no, Gregory was high. Like you said, he hasn't left the walls. He's been inside the hilltop the whole time, the same way that Gabriel was inside the church. But I think it's different because like Gregory had to have known what he was sending his people out to do.
Well, and like taking Maggie's offer to deal with the satellite station before they realized that it was, you know, a small part of what was going on. And then as soon as that doesn't work out the way that they had intended, he's like, I don't know you. That never happened. You've never been here. Just like distances himself, like washing my hands of the whole thing, had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I think even up to the very end of his character arc, he just doesn't have a spine.
No.
And
it's
he
amazing
always,
that he survived as long as he did.
That's the truth. He I don't know if manipulative is the right word. Maybe cunning.
Yeah, but it's not as thought through as that, you know, like it's
No, it's very immediate, like a very immediate result.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, there's no plan involved.
You know, but he never gets his own hands dirty. He always wants like you said, somebody to do the dirty work for him. Mm-hmm. And right,
I will cower to anybody with more power or who seems to have more power,
except Maggie,
because it hurts his pride.
Yeah, that's the truth. It has to be, you know, I don't know what it is about her, but he just can't with her. He, you know, it's like she's running things, she's been running things, and he still talks to her crazy. And I'm just like, this guy. And then he gets to a point where and then her power begins to be, you know, come more solidified and firm. And then he has the one guy to go try and kill her. Mm-hmm. He can't even do it himself. He's such a punk. He's a wimp. Okay? He's a wimp. He's a coward. Oh my God. Gregory. Oh, and then when Maggie puts the prisoners of war inside that pen inside the hilltop and she sticks Gregory in there, he is in tears. He practically just drops his whole body on the floor. They have to drag him in there. He's crying. I didn't do anything. And I remember I was just like screaming at the scream. I was like, you're right. That's exactly right. You didn't do anything.
What's the Negan quote about? Did we wear our poopy pants today? That's where he is right there. Because he is pooping his pants.
God. Oh my God. He's oh my God. He just I like to complain about this character. That's the truth.
That's the magic of Xander Berkeley. Every time you see him, you're just like, I hate you. You're such.
He does so great.
Oh,
I mean, I can't think of anybody who's more just like who characterizes the reverse aspect of the strength card here in the show.
Like that's perfect.
Because he's around for a really, really long time.
Yeah. An annoyingly long time. Like by the time he's finally gone, you're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. I think that Dwight has a good sense of that he's a strong character. So when we first meet him, his image is very almost cowardly. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, because they give him in context of like Negan and Negan's reign and how he's being treated. So we get almost like this, I don't know. It's the way that they portray the character. And you think he's maybe one of the more weaker of the guys in his camp. And he turns out, again, without Dwight, this little small things that he took the courage to do while he was in there, he became the hero. He just feeding them information that panned out, able to systematically knock out the savior's regime because Dwight playing this long game.
Yeah. I mean, the strength to get through all of that, to make those decisions and to pretend to be one of the saviors when it's not in you. It's not who you are anymore.
Right. It's not who he ever wanted to be. You know, he was just in a terrible circumstance, you know. So I love Dwight's character in terms of that. And it took a lot of people for them to actually win the all-out war with a lot of small things that added up to something humongous. But Dwight's strength of character, like his resilience, it's like an understated strength, you know. A quiet conviction because he's not not very boisterous and things like that. It's hard because I want to talk about every character and every
I mean, there's at least one instance for every character of like, oh, that's your strength moment.
Yeah, or overcoming a fear, or willing something out of a tight situation. All of it, you know. Nobody got a house cat up in there? No. Daryl ends up with dog.
Yeah.
And I know there's a cat on the strength card, but it's another aminal.
Yeah.
It's a fur baby, so
it counts.
Dog counts. Woof woof. You know, okay, I do have one more thing. The integration of animalistic energies. Let's talk about this keyword for a moment. It popped into my mind how Alpha adapted to the world. Now she said, this is basically the new normal, the Walker situation.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to adapt my lifestyle to work with this. And I think it's pretty, you know, that's what her instinct gave her to try to figure out, like, how to survive and how to stay alive.
She has a very instinctual nature. She's not, I mean, she plans, but the original seed of those ideas comes from instinct.
Yeah, I'm trying to, it definitely comes from instinct, observing the world around her and making the choices to adapt in this way. But it is and you know, if you call somebody an animal, it's like you're an animal, like not fur baby, but like, you know, just a wild animal kind of. And this is kind of the instinct that Alpha is living out. And she says, well, this is how the world is. And again, there's that moment where she tells the one whisper chick to leave her baby in the field.
Yeah.
That baby is crying. And that is pretty, she's an animal for making her do that. Like,
yeah.
That's the animalistic.
Like, she's just given up on her own humanity.
Yeah, that part. It is just like, ugh.
Well, and then on the flip side of that, we have Denise and the wolf, where she just kind of shows him, like, you don't have to do this. It doesn't have to be like this. We can care about each other. I can help save you and you can help save me. And then he ends up sacrificing himself to save her. He
does. He was her hero in that moment.
Yeah. A split-second decision that was based on instinct.
Yeah, and it's fun because in this show, it's just like, wait, the animalistic. You know what theme we didn't really cover? Like the lust.
Oh yeah.
Kind of, you know. So, you know, I know I brought up Alpha because I was just thinking about like the word animal, but really, she has like the polar opposite instinctual thing for, because really the strength card. I'm just thinking about like Leo and its relationship to the sun and all that. It's just like, it's about life.
Yeah.
And lust, the instinctual nature to procreate.
Yeah.
Is about the forward motion of life, you know? So
Yeah, it's that vital energy.
yes. So basically we could, I mean, if we wanted to, but basically, you know, people are out here having starting to have babies now. Like that's what's happening in terms of the show, you know?
Oh, there's when Negan shows up to take down Alexandria, and he's talking to Rick, and he says something about, you know, about the satellite stations and how that they took everything down, and he's like, there was a baby in one of them. What happened to that baby? And it's like, that's Gracie. She's fine. Just because you would have done something wrong doesn't mean Rick is going to.
Right.
You know, that idea of not being able to see how other people might handle things, or how you might handle things differently because you're so stuck in your own shit. Like, if you don't have your own stuff under control, you can't possibly understand how other people have it.
That's the truth. What you were saying something about Hercules earlier.
Oh yeah, the scene with Rick at the dump when he's fighting the walker creature thing with like all the spikes, and that just reminded me of the older versions of the strength card that have Hercules, and that made me laugh. And again, Rick is just like, okay, well, I'm going to use this walker like a weapon then.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets out of the dump.
Yep. Oh man, the instinct and the strength that Rick shows during that scene. Yeah. Because you have to think he's been deprived of probably of like enough food and water. He's been locked up. He's naked. I mean, he got boxes on, but like he's practically naked. So he's weak. He's tired. He don't really know what's going on.
Heavily outnumbered.
They shoot at him, and he barely just gets out of the way in time.
But he's so in control of himself that he's like,
yes,
I can get myself out of here.
Yes, and he still gives Jadis this little bit of a chance. I'm gonna leave here, and you got two choices now. You should just go. Like, you should just leave out of here. And she should have listened to him. Because I'm not there yet, but I'm pretty sure the next time I see them, Simon's going to show up. And there's going to be...
yet either, but I think you're right.
You know what I'm saying? He told her what is happening, and she just did it for whatever reason. But meanwhile, she's fascinated by Rick.
She senses that strength. She totally respects it. She's just like, I'm just not sure I understand it. And she's trying to understand it.
Okay, the strength in me and the self discipline in me right now is wanting to go the hell out the door, because Jadis is acting like she's stupid when she's not.
Yeah.
You know, she basically has military experience, so she has to. Why is she playing such a hardball game at this point with him? He's like trying to bring her picture. Here's evidence. You just need to be on my side and just work with me. No, you just really have to be working with Negan this whole time. Well, those people, that community, are actually pretty cowardly too.
We take, we don't bother.
Jadis. Yeah,
like we're not even gonna fight for the things that we need to survive. We're going to wait for somebody else to fight for them, and then we're just going to steal them.
And then, because after he leaves the dump, they all go with him to the sanctuary.
Oh my God, and they all turn around and run.
And they run away. I was like, dude, what? I was like, why is
the look
Rick
on Rick's face like, I probably should have seen that coming.
Yeah, he was like, ugh. yeah, it's like, why? Basically, he saw it coming, and why bother? Why am I still bothering?
Yeah,
that's the other thing for me with Rick too.
I think Jadis and Rick fascinate each other. Like they want to understand each other, and are just like, I don't get you. I think that's part of why she wants to sculpt him. She's like, maybe if I understand the outer form, I can get a better idea of what's going on inside his head.
She's a trip, yo. Jadis, man. Jadis, yo, I don't even understand. And that's the thing too.
Right up at the end when she's like, he's like, you can have this and this, absolutely not to this, this, or this. And she's like, I can sculpt you without the boxers. And he's like, no.
Yeah, she is
something else.
She is something else. She's like an outdoor cat.
Yes.
You don't know if she's gonna swing at you, if she's gonna like rub up on your leg. Like, it's just
the fact that the first sculpture of hers that we see is a cat.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And Michonne steals it.
Oh yeah, and Michonne loves her cat sculpture stuff, her cat things. Love that. All right, I think we nailed it. Are you done with your points now?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I also don't have anything else. So, question for you to consider. You can feedback it, you can journal it, all that fun stuff. We want you to contemplate how your biggest strength can also be your greatest weakness, or what you consider your greatest weakness, how that actually can be turned into a strength. Also, let us know any other insights or moments in the show that we might have missed on this episode. We look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when we upload a new episode. And we could be found on all of your podcatchers out there. Additional information on this episode can be found on our website, tarotnerds.com, in case you want a quick reference to the topics discussed. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter as well. Next episode, we will be discussing the Hermit. And so we hope you found this episode insightful and fun. Thank you for listening to TV and Tarot Talk. No matter where you are, don't forget to take some time out of your week to chill, chat, and tarot. Catch you on the next episode. Peace. Say bye, Meg.
Bye.
That walker actually has a name.
Winston?
I'm trying to... Yes, that's it. Is it Winston or Wilson?
Oh, God, I have it somewhere.
Wilson the walker. Is it Wilson? Wait.
Winston. I have it written. No, Winslow.
That's it. That's the one. Winslow the walker. Yeah, that is a gnarly walker.